Anyone? Mike?
Matt, just how much did defense kind of make you uncomfortable on offense and not being able to get the open looks that you wanted for a majority of the game?
Right. No, I thought our looks were pretty good. I thought the turnovers for us, it was those empty possessions when, we had some perimeter shots in the first half that I just thought was us in terms of, taking tough perimeter shots. We got to be able to, have some discipline and probe the defense more when things aren't there, and move the ball a little bit more. But the thing that jumps out for me are the turnovers. I thought we just had some unforced errors there, and they're a tough team and they fight, and they make it tough for you to throw it inside. They make it tough for you to catch the ball, but it's not impossible. And we just had to show more resolve. But at the end of the day, I just thought that Rutgers was mentally and physically tougher than we were, even if we'd have won the game there. We put ourselves in a position to where if we can get a stop, we probably do. And but I just thought Rutgers was really good.
Just the challenges kind of in that last 5 minutes of keeping Mulcahy bottled up off those handoffs.
Right.
Just what was he either exposing your defense, or what could you guys have done better?
Well, a couple of them we were supposed to go under him, and then we didn't. We stayed behind him. So with Spencer, obviously, we were going to stay tight with him and McConnell. In some of those dribble handoffs, we were going to get under it. And then when we didn't, and then they shot it, what really got us was McConnell's misses that he got back. That's 5 points right there. He gets an and one on one of them, and he just gets a regular putback. Like, we get him to miss on 2 of them, then we don't get the rebound. There at the end when he backs, they went to some pistol action, and we were going to switch it. Braden sees it, switches it, and then they go on a dribble down. And we normally double with our guard on a dribble down in a mismatch, and we said absolutely we're not going to do that because we were going to stay home on Spencer and really stay home on any perimeter. We weren't going to let them shoot a 3. And then if we were going to have help, we were going to have Zach come over. If they did a flip up to Big Cliff, 2-2 and the game's tied. And so that's what we talked about in the huddle, and we didn't do that. Now we gave too much help on Mulcahy, and then he whipped it out there, and then we left our feet when he shot faked. And obviously the rest is history.
Matt, Zach went 7 of 9 from the free throw line. The rest of the team went 12 of 19.
Right.
That was pretty big, I would say. What do you think? Is it just a one game thing, or what do you think with the other players?
Yeah, it's hard to say because you're in the middle of a game and it's not one person missing them, right? It's multiple people missing them and stuff. So just got to concentrate. Just got to work on it. When you do good things and you don't get any points for it, that's it's frustrating, but it's not more frustrating to the person who actually misses them, right? They're not trying to miss free throws. Those are things as a coach. You obviously work on it and you put in time, but when it does happen, an open 3 miss, a free throw miss, guys aren't trying to miss things. It's when you don't box somebody out or you turn the ball over. Those are the things you get frustrated, with.
You talked about them being mentally and physically tougher than you guys. That's obviously something you've been really good at this year. Were you surprised by that at all? Is that something that you think is
a little bit? We have some youth, on our team, and just like, Mag's 3rd year, Cliff's 3rd year, Paul's 4th year, Spencer's 5th year, Caleb McConnell's 5th year, but they have a lot of, kind of that corporate DNA where they have a lot of returning guys. I think they had a couple losses where I don't think they should have lost. They had some things go against them, obviously, in a couple games. They were right there. They could have won it very easily. They're a really good team. But no, it's, it's a good learning lesson. We had it happen, 5-6 years ago when we got beat by Minnesota here. We ended up winning the Big Ten, but it was just like Minnesota was better than us in that game. They were tougher than us. They were better than us. They made more shots. This wasn't as much of shot making as was like, we've dominated the glass. We've taken care of the basketball, and now the possessions are even. You see where the game went. One possession better, right? But we should have put ourselves in a better position by getting more of those 50-50 balls, having fewer turnovers. So now when you have 4 to 5 more cracks at it, you would like to think that, that would have got us over the hump right there. But they were ready to go. Zach getting in a little bit of foul trouble there was a little bit of it. I don't think it was a lot of it because he still plays close to 30 minutes, in the game. But I just thought they were sharper than we were, and that's as much on our players as it is on me. Like, you gotta have your guys ready. You gotta get them, and so you can't jump over the fight. You gotta go out and do your job.
Matt, all the energy and emotion of this game, and you've got 17 after this as you chase the Big Ten. How do you kind of get your guys to maintain this or reset and go again and not burn out after just one of these?
Yeah, worry about the next one. It's 10 weeks. The guys look at it and you guys, follow it, but you don't live it. Like, you don't live it. And they're like, you can get yourself on a roller coaster if you want. Well, I'm not a big fan of roller coasters. So, you got to get back to what you do well. And, we got to take better shots. We got to get some perimeter guys that are consistent shooters. Like that would be a great start for us. But if you go and you take good shots and you miss them, like, I'm cool with it. Like, I really am. I think a lot of people that pick at you as a coach, they don't know shit when it comes to that. When you got guys that can shoot, man, you got to believe in them. I believe in our guys. There's not anybody out there shooting threes that I don't believe in. Like, they've proven that they can make them, but we're not right now. But who are you? Like, I thought our Davidson game was a fabulous win. 3 for 25 from 3. But when the ball was loose, it was ours. Our name was on all those rebounds. Our name was on all those loose balls. And tonight, I would say they were a little bit better than us. The possession war was even, but I thought they were quicker to some balls tonight than we were, and we just can't let that happen.
There's that stretch in the first half especially where there were a lot of turnovers and stuff, and everything just kind of seemed off kilter. What should your guards, specifically your freshman guards, take playing against Rutgers style and the fact that they've got all 20-something-year-olds out there?
Yeah, well, it's part of it. Like you want to play in the NBA, you're 21 years old, there's 30-year-olds. Like, it's just the way it is. Like, who cares? Like, go out there, don't make hook passes out of bounds. Like, throw the basketball, be fundamentally sound, and put the ball in the money. Pass the basketball to your teammates. Our first 2 or 3 threes, one guy caught the ball above his head, another guy caught it down like he was tagging somebody out at second. Like, put the ball in the money, man. Like, make good passes. Passing makes guys that can shoot. If you give them good passes, you're just going to raise their percentages. And so, like, our concentration level just wasn't there. Some of, like, the turnovers is one thing, but the other ones are now we get empty possessions because we get tougher shots because we're not making clean passes. To me, that's concentration when you're dealing with people that can do the job. And we have a lot of guys that can do that. So we just got to be better at it.
Matt, you talked about this being a learning experience. What do you want your team to learn? What can you take away from a game like this?
You want them to be physically and mentally tougher than they were. Like, that's I know that's a big picture, whole type of a statement, but that's what you want. And then just to clean up the sloppiness. Be better in your execution and running stuff. Be better in the details of how we're defending things. Like the one thing as a player, it's an unbelievable lesson. Like, put the onus on a coach. Like, always put the onus back on the coach. I know that sounds kind of juvenile, but it's true. Like, just do what he says, and then, like, everything's good and play hard. Like, because now when you break that, see, the one thing when you don't do what you're supposed to do, there's other ways to do things, right? But we're all expecting you to do it that way, and when you don't, you disconnect us. And so, like, when you do your job and you do what you're supposed to, you figure that out as a basketball player. You get that figured out. It takes a little bit of time. Normally, when you sit, that normally figures things out real quick. Like, that's normally the best motivators, just kind of sit and watch for a little bit and then be able to do that. We're close there, but we're not there. We got to keep working on those details, and that's something we've known as a staff. Obviously, when you win games, everything's great, right? And you get ranked high. But you still are making mistakes, and you're still having breakdowns. You guys just don't talk about it as much. And so for us as coaches, we always talk about it because we know it's coming. Like, we know what's coming with Rutgers. Like, what Rutgers did tonight didn't shock the coaching staff. And we sold it and sold it and sold it like, hey, man, like, these guys are coming. Like, if we were going to war, we'd stop by New Jersey and pick them up. Like, you know what I mean? Like them cats, they play for keeps. And we explain that to them. And so, like, right now, we got to learn to play for keeps. Like, you get in that pickup game, and if you lose, you got to wait an hour before you can get back on there. Like, we don't want to wait. We want to keep hooping and keep playing. We got to get grimy. We're not very grimy right now.
2 more.
Matt, follow on that train of thought with the experience Rutgers does have. How do you look at Newman and Smith's play tonight compared to that?
Yeah, I thought Newman did some good things for us. You know, I thought he had a couple questionable ones early, but I thought he did some good things. He had a couple breakdowns there defensively, where McKay was going. We had him on McKay when we're going a little offense defense. So it was like you get stuck when there's no dead ball. So like, you know, and sometimes you just let it ride because you want to keep that on offense or vice versa, right? And so like you get with that. You know, I thought it was Braden's worst game. You know, Braden didn't have a good game. It's one of those things that you don't want to be too harsh with the young guy, but like it's what all young guys, what he has in front of him, he's earned, right? He's earned it. You know, he plays 30 minutes, he has the ball in his hands, he's a really good player. But we need more from him, you know, from a competitive standpoint. Like I thought tonight was the first time that, you know, competitively, like just like jump into that fight and roll, and he wasn't quite there. But it's kind of part of it, you know, it's kind of part of a learning curve, you know, that you got to learn from. But I don't think anybody was an exceptional from a defensive standpoint.
That's what Mike.
Man, when you're in the grind of the Big Ten and you're trying to learn and you're trying to develop, is it not the worst thing in the world to have all the outside noise of the #1 ranking carrying along with you?
Yeah, but there's always going to be noise if you want to listen. I think that's the key. Like, who's listening? Like I have a choice to listen or not listen, right? Like, you guys can say whatever you want, other people can say whatever. I don't care what you think. Like, I don't, like, people will say things and they'll be like, well, if you guys do this or you should play this guy, whatever. If you listen to those people, you'll be sitting with those people. I promise you that. You know, everybody, like, you have to please what's best for Purdue. And that stinks sometimes because I want that individual player to play more and do better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that stinks. Like, I hate that as a head coach. I loved being an assistant coach because I never felt that burden. I hate that burden, all right? But I'm not going to go away from that. I'm still going to do what's best for Purdue. But our society and how everything is with information stinks for them, not for me. Like, this is my job, this is what I do. So when someone ridicules you or says something, a lot of times it's right. It just is. It's like, hey man, your team wasn't very tough tonight. That's my fault. But when they're 19, 20, 21, 20, it affects them. It affects them, and you really got to coach them so that hopefully that it doesn't affect them at least as much. But once they start to learn it doesn't matter, like, just, you know, it's like your own family. Like, it matters what your family members say. It doesn't matter what other people say about your family. Same thing with the basketball program. It doesn't matter what other people say. But being the #1 team in the country, like now when you haven't been through things like that, or we have been through that for the people that have returned, like, it's really not that big a deal. Like, no matter what you do, someone's going to say something. Like, just, you know, keep your way about it, you know, have, you know, good headspace and go out and have fun. Like, you got to force yourself sometimes to block it and just have fun. And then there's other guys that don't pay attention to anything, including me. And so, like, they definitely shouldn't be, you know, struggling, because to them it's just like they just go out and kind of happy-go-lucky. But it's different for young guys now. Like, it's kind of microwave. Like they get, if you're a top 20 player and all of a sudden you stay in college for 2-3 years, and it's like, you know, well, what's wrong with him? Well, nothing's wrong with him. It's hard. It's hard being good, and it's not a talent game. It's a production game. So you just got to, like, get with each guy and how they are and how they deal with things, but you just don't know what they're kind of going through. But so much comes to them, you know, with the information flow.
Anything else? Thank you guys.
Thanks.